Welcome back, this is Jessie with Official JPEG, where we just play games. Today we are jumping right into Planet Zoo, you guys, and I wanted to show you this idea I had. I went ahead and started doing it because I was so enthusiastic, but I forgot to take some video of the initial sink down in the placement here. But this is an overview for a giant, what I'm going to call our cozy canopy, where I'm going to be featuring a couple of reptiles and then give a house to some sulcata tortoises. What you're seeing right now is just the initial plan placement of what I want to be the starting path. I do end up keeping most of this and I'm quite happy with it, but to the right there you're gonna see that little enclosure, and I'm gonna be putting some, I can't say this word, is it spectated, something like that, the caimans, just to showcase another reptile species inside our giant cozy canopy. Now, overall, I was really happy with this layout, and I still am. I'm quite happy where things have gone with this, but you'll notice that this is the first time in my build that I've used stairs, and that is because I try to keep all of my builds realistic. Like in real life, there would be wheelchair ramps and things like that, and accessibility modes for everybody, so I may go in later and try to sink this down to be a ramp. With the stairs in the center there, and then the ones leading up to our view window for the Cayman. And that is because I just want to make sure that everything is as realistic as possible. I want everybody to be able to access everything. So this is something that I will work on later on, but for now I am just getting everything set up. I know the backdrop of the Cayman looks pretty small, but I do think the viewing window is going to be very important to make sure everybody gets a good view and experience when they're inside of this canopy here. Now, let's jump forward to the back of this. I'm very happy with what we have going here. So with the back here, I wanted to make sure we had a viewing window because I plan to put a walkthrough enclosure that will house some sloths. I did think it was important to make it look a little bit more realistic, and that was to put a backdrop behind and kind of inside the walkthrough. The walkthrough will fit right in this little slot here, and the backdrop here is just going to give us some more foliage and make it look more appealing to the eye. I wanted to make sure to have, again, accessibility ramps, make sure everybody can get up there, but one of the things that I learned is that I probably shouldn't have put the pathway there before I put the walkthrough. So once I put in that pathway, I realized that I would ultimately have to delete it and start again once the walkway was placed, but you learn as you go, and honestly, I'm gonna say it 100 times, it's a later Jessie problem. But once I was able to get that walkthrough, you guys, I was really happy with how this was looking. I went ahead and placed some plaster pieces, and that's just to make sure that everything can line up flat and it makes it look like it's supported better. I do feel like this little overhang here is also gonna work really well, because if you look in the bottom right of the screen, you'll see a very sharp right angle and kind of square pavilion there. That's where I'm going to be putting a lot of our food and drink stalls in this area. Make sure that a lot of our customers and a lot of the people walking through can get everything that they need when they're inside of our, what I think I'm going to end up calling the wild canopy. And that's just to make sure everybody gets a bathroom, food and drink, experience everything while they're here. Kind of a fun hangout zone for everybody. Now, a cool thing that I thought would be fun to include in this video, if you've made it this far and you're listening, I would love it if you guys would give me a cool name for the sloth, because I just found out you could custom name the animals, and I feel like I'm a little late to that. As somebody who's been playing for a long time, I'm like, oh my god, how did I not know that sooner? And I'm not very good at naming sloths, or creatures in general. My own dog is named Beans, because she's just a farting machine, and that's not even a lie, a little bit. So I just need a good name for the sloth, so leave a comment below of what you think Mr. Sloth should be named, or Mrs. I've already forgotten if it's a boy or a girl. The sloth should be named, let me know. Now with the glass dome here, I'm trying my best to line up the edges to make it look a little bit more sharp and finished, but you'll see that there's a little area on the edge of where the glass roofs meet the paneling, and I'm working on getting my angles correct. I would love if there was a smarter way to do this, because I do feel like the curve just didn't line up with what I was wanting it to look, but I struggled a little bit in game with getting the angles right. I'll probably take off the snap for like the 30-degree angle, which I think I had on, because I do feel like that took away from being able to make the curve line up. I'll have to work on this kind of area in the future, but I'm gonna just say a little bit about me. I've had 4 tortoises in my life that I've kept for a long, long time, and my first one was Squirt, and Squirt lived with me and my mom when we were in an apartment, like a townhouse. We had a back patio, and Squirt was very small because they only grow to the size of their enclosure, or they're I shouldn't say that, but they stay relatively small if you give them a small area to live with. And when we moved, Squirt was taken from our backyard, and it was very, very sad for me, but Squirt was a boy, so he was fine. My second tortoise was Donna, that we originally named Donatello, but found out Donna was a girl, and when she would lay eggs, she would get really, really depressed. And I mean, just, you would think that a tortoise couldn't feel that way, but actually Texas A&M just came out with new research that says that they have the emotional capability that dogs and cats do. So I think the chance that we did by giving her up to somebody who had boy tortoises to be a mom was probably the best thing we could have done for her, because she was just, you know, meant to be a mom, you guys, and she just wanted her babies. So she has that now. Now, my second to last tortoise was Ham, and Ham I actually got from my work, so again, I'm a veterinary technician. I got her from a fellow employee whose daughter was going off to college, and Ham had the original name of Kirby. No, it wasn't Kirby, it was Herbie with an H. And my daughter could not, for the life of her, she was younger at the time, she didn't like it, and so she started calling him Ham. And then my last tortoise, who's gonna be my tortoise forever because he's just perfect, he likes being an only tortoise, he's just adorable, is Samson, and we call him Sam. So for a while we had Ham and Sam, not to be confused with Sam or Ham. And it was because Ham ended up being a boy, and he was so aggressive with my other male tortoise who's much bigger than him. It was a danger to him, and I actually found somebody who had tortoises in the past and wanted more, and it ended up being a family friend, thankfully. And so Ham was able to be rehomed, and Ham was much younger, and so not that I have favorites, but Sam is 20 and he's had a really hard life. He was loved in his last home, don't get me wrong. He had a very loving home who took very good care of him. They had a very nice yard and everything, but Sam is just older, and I feel like they're harder to get adopted. He's 180 pounds, where Ham was like 20 pounds. And we love Sam. Sam loves my dog. They sunbathe together all the time. I know I keep talking about my tortoise. I'm sorry. I just literally love my tortoise so much. And my daughter loves him, and my son does, and he's just so friendly. He loves tomatoes, so he's ruined my garden more than once. I've stopped gardening since bringing Sam home for that reason. But he's a good tortoise. We replanted Bermuda grass in our yard because they have to eat alfalfa type grasses that are high in calcium, so it's good for him. So he's my lawnmower, and dude, I haven't had to mow my lawn in 2 years, so he does great. Now let's take a peek at this tower. I'll try to stop talking about my tortoise. I really was quite proud of myself in this tower. I think it looked amazing. I did get 2 species in here. I think the lower one was boa constrictors, and this one was iguanas. Now, I wasn't happy that there was a little stairway up here, but overall it didn't bother me too much. I tried using the guest barriers to keep them from entering the tunnel, but it did not work. I'm a little disappointed. I'm still trying to figure that out, just so that I don't have so many guests running inside. Oh, it's puff adlers. So boa's on the bottom, puff adlers on the top. Sorry, forgot. But yeah, I just couldn't keep the guests out of the tube. So I'm still working on that now, even with the finalized version of our I think I ended up calling it our wild canopy. And I like that name a lot. But you guys, a palm tree fit perfect in here, and I was so happy to see that. It was one of the skinnier ones. I did put some bamboo in there and some more plants, and I just had a blast making this look like its own little tropical tunnel inside of this already tropical giant enclosure here, and I just think it looks stunning. I am just so proud of all of the things that fit in here, how real it looks. I wish I had chosen different glass. I may go in and change that to make it look clearer, so that people can actually see in it, and I want to see in it. I'm nosy. I want to know how they're doing, and I think it would look better that way. But overall, I think this is looking fantastic. Now, the the big fig tree was kind of a harder choice to make. I wanted something big. I wanted it to be like the biggest tree in the area, and I was struggling choosing which would go in there. Off screen I must have chose 3 or 4 different versions of this multiple times, even going in and changing it later on, but I was happy with how it looked. Now let's look at the Cayman habitat out front. I wanted there to be a large rock work on that side. I ended up even adding more to our finalized version, so stick around to see what that looks like, but I'm very happy with how this looks. The water ended up not being big enough, so stick around again to see how that changes, but I'm really proud of where this vision is going. And I think in real life, like in a zoo, you would see an animal outside of something like this, so that, you know, if you had a large walk-in, there'd be a critter sitting in the front. And yeah, I really think this is probably one of my best builds I've ever done. I'm just so proud of myself. I'm hyping myself up over here. Choosing the proper, I don't want to say pathing, but barrier between the Caymans and all of the people, all of our guests, was actually hard. I'm happy with what I have because I feel like you get a good view all the way around, but actually a lot of the guests feel negatively about this fence, which is shocking to me, but it is something I will have to work on in the future. I may just, they're not shy critters from what I'm aware of, so they may get an actual barrier that you can see over, make it a little easier, but I was hoping the glass would, you know, at least give them a sight, but they're not a big fan. But this is what I'm happy with. I think it's stunning, so I'm going to keep it the way it is for right now, because that is a later Jessie problem. Alrighty, you guys, this is when I came up with the idea for the huge roof, and I'm quite happy with how this looks overall. I do feel like this kind of brought in the image that I was looking for as far as the dome. I was hoping to do a circle with this when I first started off, and I did this in sandbox mode, and it did not work out very well. I didn't like the way the glass roof looked, but this was really something that I feel like brought a lot of architecture and a little bit more of a focal wow factor to this entire build. Now, the area over these two enclosures I wanted to look like mock large. Now what I mean by that is I made them larger than what they really are, and then I rose some of that landscaping behind there, so I lifted up some of that grass to be above and kind of hang over the top. But I wanted this to be a really beautiful area. I wanted it to be a place where I could put some flowers and kind of give it that landscaping that I really feel like it deserved. Now, this is just me playing around with a couple of ideas. I ended up hating a lot of it, so it took multiple tries to figure this out, and that's when I finally came to the realization we needed to raise the terrain. So sorry you guys, I can tell that my voice is really strained in this video, and it's because I'm trying to talk softly, but I'll try to be a little louder so that you're not hearing all of like my deep undertones. God, listening back to audio is weird. If you guys have ever made YouTube videos yourself, let me know. I low-key hate the sound of my own voice, but it is whatever. I'm also getting over being incredibly sick, but I still think this is actually my voice, unfortunately. But I went ahead and added rocks, and I still haven't done the landscaping in this area, and I think it's because I am struggling a little bit, and I feel like it looks a lot like my other zoo, the Desert Botanical Zoo, and I don't want it to. I want it to look more African versus like the Native American type stuff that I'm working on right now. And I wanted to look, or Spanish style, you know, that's what my Desert Botanical is. But yeah, you'll see me placing this guest barrier, and this one did not work well either. Or you know what, I think this one ended up working, and I think it's because I sunk the other ones too far into the ground. I think they actually have to be on the path, but this is when you see the raised elevation behind there, the groundwork, and I really feel like this looks a lot better than what I was expecting it to look like. I do think I'm going to play around with this a little bit more to add some more dimension, to add some more hidden factors, and I end up putting a large eating area above here, and I feel like that is really what brings it to be more unique than what it looks like right now. But I went ahead and went with the South African, or I guess this isn't South African, but this is more of an African pack, so I think this is just a broad perspective on the African continent. But I am a fan of the decor. I love that lamp right there. I think it's stunning, and the masks were a little difficult. I don't feel like it was the vibe that I wanted, but I was trying to make it work. I do think later on I may go in and change this little scenery here, or this little scene of decor, to something that matches the aesthetic of the animals below, which is more of a tropical environment, and so that may be something that I have to work on later on. So this may change, especially because my husband for Christmas got me the Australia pack and the aquatics pack, which I was originally not streaming, but I was recording over my builds, and you could hear me like suddenly realize that I had the aquatic rocks, and I was just dying and squealing and all of those things, because the aquatic rocks I've wanted forever. But overall, once I get the Australian pack, I may kind of make that area behind here that you're seeing off to the side of the screen that's all blank, kind of the Australia part of the park. I haven't really decided if I'm going to be making a more tropical versus temperate versus or like a continental zoo. And what I mean by a continental, that sounds like continental breakfast, but like different continents in the zoo. And I still don't know if I will. I think it's just because I'm so used to the zoo near me not having that, that I don't know if it's a requirement for me if I want to do that or not. I'm happy with the rockscaping under the slopes because I didn't want them to just be chilling, for lack of a better term. I didn't like them just free floating there, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I may have to oh yeah, you'll see that little like bathroom that I grabbed off to the side there. I had to move it off to the side because yeah, I didn't mean to do that, but I didn't want to what's the word I'm looking for? I didn't want to overbuild the rock, but I do think that we need some sort of foundation on the other side. I don't like it being open, but right now I'm adding in those red rocks just to give it a little bit of a different vibe, and I realized that there wasn't a lot scattered all over, so I needed some more, and that's when I noticed that the fig tree didn't have anything underneath it. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the pre-built climbing structure for monkeys with the fig trees that Frontier made, and one of their fig trees is standing on a rock in it, and that's such a vibe to me. And you can see I have a lot of people already in here at this point, and I'm very, very happy to say that I was shocked with how many of the people just came in here, even when it was like not pretty, and they loved it. And I kept getting praise of like, this zoo is so, what is it, decorated nicely, or has nice what is the word I'm looking for? But they were like, wow, you actually decorated. And I was like, dang girl, look at you. Now I knew I needed a backdrop, like a wall in the back, and I decided to keep it black. I do think that this is just to match the walls that I've put in, but after I did this and I was able to copy and paste it and put it on the other side, I still think it's a really nice build. I'm quite impressed with how this overall looked. But of course, like always, if you've ever watched any of my other videos, I'm gonna tell you this 100 times, I love the wood beams. They're so fun to play with. I think they're beautiful, and I just really feel like they bring a more natural look to a zoo when you use them. Now this ended up changing later on, but it was still kind of what I was looking for, just a little bit of difference between that black background and the front. I wanted it to be a sign. Now jumping right in, as I was decorating this habitat, it was this point that I realized my husband bought me the aquatic pack for Christmas, and he was a little bummed I noticed so soon, but you know, I play this game every single day, and overall, you guys, like, this is probably in real time day 7 of me working on this entire thing. I think I ended up, before I cut all the information, having about 8 or 10 hours of video, and it's going to be cut into a couple of different episodes. You'll probably notice later in the episode that there's going to be some pieces or some areas of eating that I'm not going to touch on in this video. I wanted this to be 100% just the canopy building, but yeah, I went a little crazy with the rocks, but I'm still happy with how it looks overall. Now, jumping in back to the front of the Cayman habitat, I can't get over how good this looks, but they were missing a lot, and so I ended up having to place them a little earlier than I wanted to, and this is because I wanted to make sure that I mean, I've never played with this species before. I'm not quite used to what they want. I did do the thing where I was trying to get like the South American temperate thing, but yeah, it didn't really work out. I still had to delete a couple of plants, which is okay. My zoo is making good money at this point, so I was comfortable doing that. But just some minor landscaping, I almost got it right on the first try, but I didn't know they needed so much rock. I wasn't expecting that. But now I know for the future, so if I work with the Caymans again, I'll be better prepared to make their habitat good the first time. Now, if you guys remember, I actually didn't have all of this water on the inside when I first made it, and it's because I realized their water requirement was absolutely insane to what I was thinking it was. So at this point, I was a little like bummed that I didn't get it right the first time, but let's take a peek at what we have now. So this is a little freeze frame because I wanted to make sure that I had a moment to really appreciate what it's looking like so far. Now the roof itself is its own piece, so I'm able to move it back and forth, and this is just to make sure that I'm still staying within the boundaries of the roof because it's a little bit of an odd building. So you'll see off to the left, I have a little curve there that I'm just having to work on, and it's just to make sure everything lines up. So I ended up taking that back piece, copying and pasting it, and then I had to go in by hand and delete all the individual pieces. Now, not only did I have to do that, I had to make sure that this was flat facing because I realized that some of the pieces weren't actually aligned at this point. And so this took about 30 minutes of real time, and this is because I'm just particular about what I show you guys in the video versus what I'm actually doing. Maybe one of these days I might actually like stream something and you guys can hear me crying and just being frustrated with myself. But it ended up looking okay once I was able to get those pieces all snapped in and move them. Yeah, you'll see it's the front. It's literally the front, and then I had to go to the back and do the same thing. It was super fun. But overall, I'm not mad about it. I mean, making sure it was smooth made sure that it looked good to everybody, including the viewers. I want to make sure everybody knows that I'm trying my best to make something really beautiful. Now, these little logs that I put in, I don't think are going to be on my final version. I think for now, it's just going to have to do. It's hiding a lot of those rougher edges that the paneling made, and that is because the curve isn't necessarily perfect on both ends. I really wanted to focus on the top to make sure it lined up with the roof line, so this was kind of a later thought and a later Jesse problem. I have a lot of those. It's franchise mode. I'm going to say it 100 times, and I'm sure you've heard it in my other videos, but we're just going to fix this later once we have a more concise idea of what's going to go on in our sloth habitat. I do plan on putting more foliage to hide some of the other structures that he's climbing on to make it look more realistic, but for now I think the rock work on the backdrop here, or the roof line here, is what needs to be focused on. Now, with the foliage inside, I decided to lift the back up at a slight angle for viewing better, and I do go in and add short grass in this area to get rid of those little tiny pieces of grass that are poking through. I mean, I'm not against them. They do sometimes look a little bit more realistic as far as the build, but for right now, I do think I want to get rid of them. But dropping in a lot of rocks, making it look more tropical. That is because sloths live in a tropic biome, just to make sure everything looks as realistic as possible, I think was what I was aiming for here. And I may go in and add some wooden slats to this to make it look like an actual walkway in the middle. But for now, I really wanted to focus on making sure that the entire wild canopy looked finished. And I did go ahead and add in this dead cherry blossom tree, and I love that tree. I don't know if you guys use it a lot, but it is climbable. I do think I have one in the red panda enclosure as well. I do feel like it adds a lot of enrichment to climbing animals, so that is something that I use a lot. And I wanted to add the real cherry tree in there. I do think I ended up keeping it, but I don't know. I still haven't decided if I'm going to keep it forever or not. I do think that a lot of my ideas change later on, and I just kind of wing it sometimes, and that may not be the best planning idea ever, but for right now I think it is what I'm aiming for. And I'm really proud of a lot of the rock work that I did in this build, or just this build in general. I'm gonna say it a ton, but it's one of the larger builds that I've ever made, and I really like it. Now what I'm trying to do now is to copy the wooden slats, but I wasn't able to, so I went to the porcupine habitat and copy and pasted their wood slats to make a walkway again. I actually have a walkway just like this in the desert botanical garden. Again, I'm hyping up my other builds, but that is where this idea came from, and I do feel like it gave a good focal point to the entryway that I do think was needed. I didn't have anything there for the time being, and so I do feel like it is something that worked really, really well for the entryway to this canopy here. I do plan on adding some more Australia pack items once I'm able to unlock them, and to make an entire Australian continent on the right side of the screen right now. So sorry for pausing. So I am a mom, so as I play this game, a lot of times I am on mute with the mic, which is why I talk over a lot of my builds, and that is because my kiddos are always in the background, and I do think it's important that they know that nothing I do is more important than them. So a lot of times I end up like pausing, and I try to get rid of the screens offhand. Now let's jump in one more time. Right now I'm adding a sign above the Cayman habitat, and this is because I really wanted it to be looking more natural, and I do feel like this little wooden structure here worked with the vibes. And I went ahead and cut how long this took for me to actually line up, because it just took so dang long. I'm not happy with a lot of the blank spots on the wall, but instead of focusing on that, I went ahead and added a little picnic area here. I'm not quite sure. I was trying to see if I could get this to work with a slope, but for the moment I can't. Now again, adding another area here for picnics and things of that sort, just to make sure that all of our guests can have lots of eating here, and I do feel like it was kind of cute. I really liked the idea of having a lot of eating spaces for the guests here, and I do think it turned out pretty well. I ended up having to move that tree to the side, but it didn't kill the vibe. It didn't kill the vibe. I do feel like it was still pretty cute, and I was surprised that these like East Asian tables worked so well. I do feel like they look more tropical inside the dome. I do feel like they would probably not in another biome, but this area here ended up not actually staying. I ended up putting another enclosure here, so again, stick around, see what that looks like. I'd love for you guys to send some feedback. I know I change things up a lot, but again, I'm not a very concise builder. I have ideas and I go with them, and they may change as we go. I love those little plants with the roots showing. I tend to use those a lot up trees to make them look a little bit more interesting and just draw the eye up, and I do feel like they look more tropical than a lot of our other plants do. Now adding benches and a crap ton of trash cans, because holy lord, I've never had such a dirty zoo before in my life. I have so many people who say the trash is disgusting, and I'm like, dude, like there's a trash can 5 inches away from where all of the trash is always at. But whatever, they can't learn to use them. We'll figure it out eventually. All right, now one more time, I do think I ended up taking this away because I'm trying to make it more concise as a build, and I'm trying to add some details in, because these black walls are just so boring. I feel like they're not as pretty as they could potentially be. I think one of the things later on is once I start unlocking more packs and seeing really the items that I have available, once I have them all, I'll be able to decorate this more, making it look better put together. So that's, again, things that will change in the future, and as always, you guys, you will see updates later on. But I cannot explain to you how long this entire build took me. I mean, this is probably a week long of playing an hour or two at a time, taking this into sandbox multiple times to see what would work, just so that I'm not wasting the zoo money to see what would look good. But I can't believe I got this video in under a half an hour. Now, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for sticking around. I appreciate every single one of you, and I just always want you guys to know that you're important. So remember that you're loved. But here is our final version of the wild canopy, and let's do a little brief tour of everything that we looked at. I got some good photos of a lot of this and some good overview. I do feel like that wild canopy was a lot larger than I thought it was gonna be, but I just think that making the item itself, the sign, I mean, yellow and green and orange, my goodness, I can't speak English today. And you'll see that I have a guest barrier on the tower. It didn't work, not at all, but I was really happy with where I took it. So I elongated the water view for the Cayman to make sure that they got all of the water requirements they needed, and I was able to do a lot of fun rock work. I made sure to put it in after everybody walked in, just to make sure everybody was standing in the places that I would put them. And you'll see we're still missing the foliage in there. We will get to that at a later video. I am just so shocked with how put together this entire build seems. And you'll see, yep, they just like glitch right on in there despite there being a guest barrier hidden under that. But again, we'll deal with that later. But the sulcata tortoises, you guys, are just the star of the show. I think they look so lifelike, but my goodness, when they hatch hatchlings, too dang many. But for now, you guys, I hope you enjoyed watching today's episode. My name is Jessie with Official JPEG, where we just play games, and don't forget to give me an idea for a name for this dude. I think he's pretty cute. Alright, you guys, toodles.